guys, and welcome back to today's episode on the Fashion Fables podcast. It's Olivia, and I'm joined here with health and wellness creator Nat, also known as Naturally Being Nat. Nat, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
So let's get into it. If you could just begin by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So, I actually do work full time in finance. I graduated from college in 2019, where I played field hockey. And right now, like I said, am doing finance as well as I am in school for nutrition on the side and then running the blog behind Naturally Being That.
Awesome, love that. What inspired you to create your health and wellness account, and what do you hope to achieve from it?
So I started off this account in 2018 when I was finishing up my field hockey career. I knew that I was going to want maybe another hobby to do after everything was done. I've always had such a passion for working out and different foods. I love trying different foods as well. I started cooking on my own then in college, and I thought that maybe it'd be a great idea to start an Instagram, mainly because I was always taking pictures of my food regardless. And I just thought it'd be a really good place to document it all. And I thought that there was a lot of other people who maybe were struggling in the kitchen, getting creative. And that's where I really think that most of my recipes come from, is just getting creative and having fun with it. So that's where it kind of all started. And I never really expected it to necessarily bloom in any way. It was really just a fun hobby. But then in the spring of 2020, when I started working from home, I decided that I wanted to make it a little bit bigger, and I decided to create the actual website as well. So I now have the Instagram and the website where I can store all of my recipes. I started getting really into the photography of food, and just I really wanted just a place where people could find everything, and then also share a little bit more about my lifestyle, my favorite things, and workouts as well. So right now, I still do love what I'm doing, and I'm in finance, like I said, and I think I would always like to still have a little bit of finance in my life, because I do think that it's really important in health. But I would love to see the website take off and kind of take it from there. And then I'm also in the nutrition school, so potentially taking on clients down the road.
That's awesome. I love how you have like so much that you love, and I think it's so important to find something that you love, because ultimately like it shows. And I think it's also great that you're kind of doing this food Instagram because like you love it, but also to help others. And I know just from like looking at your Instagram, it's so inspirational because like all of your food is plated so like nicely and stuff like that, and it can give like inspiration to me, and I'm sure to other people to kind of eat healthy and kind of just eat to make them feel their best. So that's incredible. Can you talk a bit about your Instagram content and the brand you go for?
Yeah, so I think this is something that definitely has developed over time, what I was really my niche exactly. But I think that when it comes to what kind of content that I post, I try to do a good balance of easy breakfast that you can make maybe in under 10 minutes, as well as dinners or lunches and prepped foods. I don't typically do full meal prep or anything like that. I like to do some meals here and there, but I'm not really the person who can eat for the same lunches in a row. So I do a lot of just prepped, maybe just sweet potatoes that are just easy access for later on down the road. I really just want to make eating healthy a very sustainable way of living, not really looking at maybe anything diet specific. If you look at my content, I post anything from vegan content all the way to meat and cheese. I just really truly believe that a healthy lifestyle is very balanced. So try to give a lot of options as well in my stories with like easy snacks on the go. I love coffee, so always share my coffee drinks. And then the brand behind it is really just trying to be as healthy in a balanced way outside. So that 80-20 balance I love, because I think that when it comes to living your life, we aren't meant to just be in some strict health lifestyle. You're supposed to enjoy a lot of your moments. So, there's always room for your kale and banana smoothies, but also pizza with your friends or a drink out. So I really try to incorporate that it's not an all or nothing mentality. There's room for everything in life.
Yeah, I agree because I feel like everyone has their own specific diet. Like not everyone's vegetarian, not everyone's vegan. And I think sometimes by promoting that, sometimes like it makes people think that they should kind of follow that. But like I totally believe that like you should just follow the diet that like makes you feel best. And because everyone's like body's different, and no matter if like you and I will eat the same thing, like our bodies are gonna react to it differently. So I think it's important like what you're doing to just kind of remain like a balance between everything, because I think balance is key for me personally, and I feel like a lot of people feel that way as well. Because like restricting yourself, I don't know, like after a while, it just like it doesn't end up working in the long run. So
Yeah, 100%. And I love what you said there about you and I could definitely eat the same exact foods. We could work the same amount, we could move the same amount, but we have genetically different bodies and we just have different makeups that we won't look the same and we won't act the same from the same foods or movement or anything. So it's so individual. And I think it's so powerful to find what works best for you and really stick to your gut and go with it, because no one is ever going to know what works best for you other than yourself. So being on a vegan diet and running, if that works for you, great. If, yoga and having, your charcuterie boards and all that stuff also works for you, then great. I think it's so individual, and a lot of food Instagrams are great for inspiration, but you still have to take everything with just ideas. And I think that's really empowering to just get inspiration from those than following something specifically.
yeah, for sure. So I see that you were a former D1 athlete. So what are some just helpful tips you can give to any athletes out there looking to amplify their health or diets just to be the healthiest they can be?
Yeah, so I think that one thing that I struggled with as an athlete in the beginning was our dining hall. Just trying to navigate also making food yourself and things like that. And I know right now some may be in a dorm or not, but I know that that was also a little bit trickier. So when it comes to having a sustainable type of diet, when it comes to athletics, I know there's a ton of hours required for moving your body, and you really have to make sure you are properly fueling. But one thing that really was helpful for me, and I'll always stick by this, is adequate sleep. And I think that's really difficult when it comes to your requirements with school, your homework, actually having a social life too, and all of the practices and meetings you have as an athlete. But really prioritizing your sleep will not only help you make better decisions when it comes to fueling your body the next day, it helps you recover a lot better. And also, it helps with just making better choices too. When you're not tired and fatigued, you don't necessarily crave foods that might not be the best for you. So, I think sleep is number one for me. I honestly would have gone to bed early rather than stay up until 2 a.m. to do work, and then just really prioritize that time. And then when it comes to food, again, it does really require on the sport that you're doing as well, but really properly fueling your body with healthy complex carbs, fats, and protein. Really good balance. I always had snacks on hand, like Lara bars um, or Go Macro bars, because those are the easiest ways to get in things when you're always on the go.
Yeah, I know for like, because I'm currently a college student and it can definitely be stressful kind of getting adequate sleep when you're constantly worrying about work you have to complete and trying to get ahead. So trying to do more work for like the next day, but you know you need sleep. And it's just like, it's sometimes it can be hard, but I think it's a matter of finding that balance and like understanding that there's always like another day. So you don't have to like almost like kill yourself just to get something done because like there's going to be another 24 hours. So, and I think this is going back to the whole balance thing, kind of like eating the foods that like make you feel good and just like foods that make you feel like better because you want to be able to fuel yourself for a long day rather than kind of crash due to like I don't know, just say you eat like large amounts of sugar or just maybe not like a balanced meal that can I think drinking like water is also really important and just like staying hydrated. So I think like all of those things can help too. And yeah, thank you for sharing that because personally, like I was a dancer and it kind of is similar to how I needed to constantly be like energized and stuff like that for long days of practices and stuff. So I think that can like relate to a bunch of different people, not only athletes.
Yeah, 100%. I think that being an athlete, you might be exercising a little bit more and having a little bit more fuel, but I think that there's a lot of people out there who also do a lot of extracurricular activities or jobs as well, which can also be really taxing. And I think that sometimes we forget if it's not considered a workout, that we still have to fuel our bodies with especially water. I'm a huge water drinker. I probably drink around a gallon a day just naturally. So I think that's really big. And then just really getting adequate sleep and hydration and nutrition all around, no matter if you're an athlete or not.
For sure. Do you feel that being an athlete has helped you? And if so, in what ways?
I think one of my best attributes, two things actually. One of them relates more to how I how I'm successful more at my job and how I was um, in my uh, academics would be time management. I've learned quickly that if you didn't prioritize and schedule your days out, that you could quickly fall behind. And again, that goes back to the sleep and feeling like you don't have enough time in the day sometimes. So time management is a skill that I think that I'm pretty good at, and it's something that's carried forward with me into my job now. And it's also helped me to not only do my job, but also run my Instagram and cook and all those other things in between and still have a social life.
Yeah.
So I think that time management is something that's really helped me, as well as I think my discipline. That is something that I think is something you develop as an athlete. I think you could definitely develop it outside as well, but really just being even in the hardest of times when you are losing games or things just aren't going right, you have long days of practice. I think discipline is something that I've learned and it's carried it through with me as well. And then just actually a third one, I think my ability to communicate with others is something because I was on a team sport. So, with other people, you always have not always differences, but everyone has different ideas, what's going to work, what wouldn't work. And I think being communicative is a really good skill to have in order to listen to other people, as well as be able to communicate what your own thoughts are and have a really solid discussion.
Yeah, all like three of those things you discussed are like literally like essential to. I feel like communication is a really big one because you're constantly in contact with people. You're constantly meeting new people, like going for interviews, even just like friends. And in order to like make like a lasting like friendship or relationship, you kind of have to be understanding of others and just like know how to come across people because like that can say a lot about who you are as a person. And being disciplined is like really important too because like life throws you curveballs and you have to know how to kind of like deal with things and overcome things that may seem like a really big deal, but you realize that sometimes you just don't need to stress the little things because like life happens and I mean nothing's perfect. So I'm really glad that those like characteristics have helped you not only in sports but throughout life as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think going back to the discipline part where you said life throws you curveballs, I think 100% it is so nice sometimes when you're able to ground yourself back and reassure yourself that following a certain path, whether you see it right now, that it'll work out in the future, and just really staying true to what you had planned, and maybe your path steers in a different direction, but you're still willing to continue. And I think that's a really good thing that anyone can really relate to.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite healthy habits to increase overall well-being and just like being happy?
So I think one thing I had already mentioned, this is more just, I guess, with your actual food and nutrition. Would that be I go to bed with a glass of water by my bedside every single night, and it's the first thing I do in the morning is drink a glass of water before anything else. Just really gets the water in your body after you haven't had any hydration all night. Another thing is that I sleep with my phone on do not disturb. I don't think people do realize this enough, how much if a text goes off in the middle of the night, how it can impact your sleep, or any phone call, any of that light as well. So iPhone actually has a little bedtime app that I use, and it's really nice wake up as well. And then another thing that I think is really important is really moving your body, but moving your body in a very sustainable way and one that works for you. So I think for me, I have a schedule per week. I try to stick to something, but it doesn't always go as planned. And that is something that's been really empowering for me, because if I'm low on energy from something else, maybe at work or just going on in life, like moving into like a new apartment, my body doesn't really have maybe the energy I thought I was going to. So maybe I just do yoga that's gentle. And I think some other days I have the urge to run, and that's okay too. So I think really just listening to your body and not being so strict is something that's really helped. And not really working out for a specific body shape, or listening to any of those tabloids that say you can get abs like J Lo in
Mhm.
30 days, stuff like that. I think when you find something that really works for you and you love it, I think you should stick with it. And that would be one of my biggest tips, because like we discussed earlier, no matter if we did the same workout, she might get a body looking one way and you might not. And that's not a bad thing. It's just we're different, and that just doesn't work for you. And I think that is really big. So between the water in the morning and really good night's sleep, moving your body right, I think those are really important. Those are all really important aspects outside of food itself. Um, Food is really important, but I think it also, when it comes to food, you really have to just decide to, I think it's more important to find what also works for you as flavors or foods, not just because you label them as healthy or unhealthy. Sometimes it's spicing things up in the kitchen with like oregano or basil, or putting sriracha on something, right? I think just because something is labeled healthy doesn't mean it doesn't have to taste good either.
Yeah.
So really just get creative, find some recipes on Pinterest. It's a really good place to find really good just food inspiration. You don't always have to follow a recipe to the T.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and try to just experiment. I think more times than not on Instagram, you see everyone's successes when it comes to a meal that they made, but we all fail sometimes. Not all food is going to taste great when we try it out. So
Yeah.
just go for it.
Exactly. I think literally sometimes it's over like thought, just like how to be a healthy person. I think like there's no one way to be a healthy person. I think you're a healthy person if you feel good about what you're eating, about how you're exercising. If you're exercising because you want to, not because like you want like a certain body image, like you were saying before, or because you want to do it for somebody else. I think like the strength comes from within. If you want to make a change within yourself, it has to come from like your willpower to do so. And yeah, I think it's just subjective to the person, honestly, because like you can do workouts, this, that, but ultimately, like just do what like makes you feel good. And I think that will make you a happier person. And I think that leads into my next question of like the best ways to keep your body fueled and nourished for sustainability and productivity. And you kind of touched on this, but like if you have anything else to share about it.
Yeah, no, I think we basically did touch on that. I think another thing I'll just like briefly mention is when it comes to fueling your body right and being nourished. I think sometimes when we are in maybe some stressful situations, I know 2020 was a really stressful one, and 2021 has been a little stressful as well for some people too. So I think when it comes to that, sometimes we can look to food as an emotional support. And I think that's okay to lean on. I think so many people go against that. And I think also knowing that even when you're stressed, sometimes people have a lack of appetite. So your hunger cues might be off. So when it comes to anything that, you're just not feeling yourself, I always try to stick to a balanced plate of proteins, fats, carbs. And I think that's just a really good like rule of thumb when it comes to meals or any snacks, to really just feel your best for a whole day and throughout the day.
Yeah, definitely. And my mom's actually a registered dietitian, so like I know the
Awesome.
whole like balance plate thing. And yeah, it's so important. Yeah, no, this is awesome. And just finally, is there any ways to get in touch with you or like keep in contact?
Yeah, so I have the Instagram. It's naturally being Nat. And then I also have my blog, which is just naturallybeingnat.com. And then if you have any individual questions, you can always email me, which again, keep it nice and simple, is naturallybeingnat@gmail.com. But other than that, I'm always free to message you back in Instagram if you have any quick questions. If it's something that's not even on my stories or anything like that, you can just randomly ask me anything, or always here to just chat as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nat.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.